We're live.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Gold Rush podcast. It's me, Rick Munoz, the co host of my brother over here, Abraham Munoz. And today we are going to talk about discussions about the 49ers, like every podcast that we have here, because this is a Niners podcast. We're going to talk about off the record comments. We're going to talk about expectations of Jimmy and many topics on Trey Lance. And it's going to be a good discussion. We're going to try to keep it positive, and we're also going to be realistic about things, and we're going to speak our minds, what we truly feel, basically, and maybe you guys feel the same. So here's my brother. He's gonna start off the discussions here. I guess we're going to be talking about what were the reports, or what did you hear coming off of well, news coming out of the Niners locker room, I guess, or it's not even the locker
Yeah.
room, right?
Yes. So real quick, you know, basic topics we're going to probably touch on. We're obviously going to touch on the reports coming out of the locker room from the 49ers and the 49ers facility in general, just because I know that there was conversations with coaches. So that's also
That's
part
that's the
of
part
that.
that gets me. If yeah.
Yeah, and we'll start off on that. We got a few topics we're going to touch on today. It's not going to be a very long live. We're gonna just kind of be real basic, just straight to the point. I've had these discussions. I was on Twitter. If you guys aren't following me on Twitter, you guys gotta follow me on Twitter. I'll leave that link in the description below. But I was on Twitter today, and there was it's. I'll tell you first and foremost, man. There is such a divide right now. I don't think I've ever
Well,
like
well, it's been divided.
I've been a Niner fan since I started loving football. So I've never seen the team, especially the fan base, as divided as it is right now. I partially put that fault. I put that majority of the fault, if not all of it, on Lynch and Shanahan, just because they created this. They could have cut Jimmy. They could have done, they could have. They didn't have to come into the season with Jimmy on this roster. They could have easily cut him, allowed him to go wherever he is. But they didn't do that. They obviously re-signed him. They restructured his contract. Now he's gonna, if he hits all the incentives, he's gonna make upwards of $16-17 million for the year. But anyways, so there was reports coming out, and the reporter was Mike Silver. Reports were coming out saying that players, the day of, so if I remember correctly, the day of, this is when he wrote kind of when he came out with his
Sunday,
report, that was the day of.
past
Uh,
Sunday. Yeah.
so specific players that he was talking to, were already commenting, saying that the team is better off with Jimmy. And in a sense, I understand. I understand where the players are coming from, especially like the players that are like real. They're close with Jimmy just because most of their career has been with Jimmy. But so players and coaches said this, and to me, I don't necessarily have I don't want to say a huge. I don't have a huge problem with it. The only thing that I do not like is that, man, you got your franchise quarterback there. You know, he broke his ankle, and you guys are saying this kind of stuff. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. Actually, it was yesterday, so it wasn't the day of. It was yesterday, but he was getting surgery when Mike Silver was making these reports, and to me, that's wrong, man. Like, you gotta have your guys back. When I was watching Grant Cohn and his dad today, and one thing that they said that stuck with me a lot, and I find it to be very true, is even if you may not like Trey as your quarterback, you gotta show some type of empathy towards him. He literally laid it down laid it all out on the football field, and I mean, this injury can really hinder his career. Especially here with the Niners, and I know that's one topic we'll probably get to a little later, but it's messed up, man. I feel like you gotta, when reporters come to you and they ask you these types of questions, I feel like you as a player, even though regardless of how you may truly feel, there's a sense of, hey, man, kind of like how Grant and his dad were talking, you know, I don't really want to talk about this right now. It's too fresh. It just happened on Sunday. Like, kind of things where you push that stuff off to a later topic. And players didn't do that. And the thing that even gets to me more is coaches also were doing it. And that bothers me a lot, man. How do you feel about it?
Well, the part that is more, a little bit more of a shock to me is that if the reports are true, if this is factual, that coaches were saying this, and that's the part that bothers me the most, because these are the coaches that were hired by Kyle Shanahan, and obviously they're showing some kind of bias against Trey Lance, and yes, he is a rookie. I understand coaches want to win. But the head coach that hired you, if it's, I really doubt it was Shanahan or anybody. I'm not sure who it was. If there was coaches, I'm not sure if well, kind of lost my train of thought there. But my thinking is that like it's like well, Shanahan hired these people, right? And they don't have his back, right? I guess not. If there's coaches in there that are not fully committed to that were not fully committed to developing Trey Lance and just wanted to win now, then there's something obviously wrong with that, and Shanahan should address that. I mean, that's his job. His coaches basically don't have his back because for a coach, like I said, especially a coach to come out and say they are somewhat relieved. I'm not going to say that they're happy, because I doubt they're happy, and if they are, then that's very wrong. But that they are relieved that Garoppolo is now the QB instead of Trey Lance, and those coaches are obviously they're probably looking for a job next season, that they don't plan to be with the Niners, because they probably want to win right now, and that's why they are relieved that Trey Lance, well, that I'm not going to say that Trey Lance is injured, but that Jimmy Garoppolo is now the starter, and Shanahan should really look into that, and dig into who are these coaches that made these comments. I'm sure they know. I'm sure there's these comments were made off the record, so Mike Silver, he knows. Obviously, I'm sure there was other reporters in that locker room who know, and it's just wrong to me. And as far as the players go, I could understand why they are relieved, but they are definitely not thinking of it in the long term. I'm pretty sure it was some sort of veteran that it had to be, some sort of veteran, that player that made those comments, basically, because I really doubt there was any kind of joy in saying that, well, not joy in saying that, but there was relief in saying that, I guess, if they did say that. But I don't think they're happy that Trey Lance got injured. I'm pretty sure they feel bad about it, and well, it really sucks for the franchise, just because, well, there's splits not only in the locker room, but I guess there's also splits in the coaching team, because there's coaches out there that want they want to win right now so they can get a job later. That's all I could think of right now. I mean, that's off of the top of my head. That's the only reasoning that I could come up with, that if there was coaches that made those comments, that were relieved that Jimmy's starting, it must only be because they are trying to win now, and they are looking for a job the next season. And you know what? I hope they put those guys on blast. I want to know who said that. I don't think we
I
ever will
feel
know,
let me
but
let me let me cut in for a second. Let me piggyback
sure.
off that. And one thing that I kind of want to that kind of piggybacking off of what you said about the relief that Jimmy's in. I don't understand that. I don't understand that, because I get it. I get it. Like, I've gone on a lot of people's lives. I've been all over Twitter today. Ever since Sunday, I've just been kind of see where the fan base is at and where everybody's at, and kind of try to see where I land. And I just can't understand the logic of. I get it. Some players are at the peak of their prime. Kittle, Trent Williams, probably McGlinchey,
Williams, yes.
Ward, the older veterans. I get it. They're at their peak to where they may not have a ton of years after this.
Mhm.
And I get that they want to win now. But regardless of that, this is a team sport. It's a team sport. It's not an
Mhm.
individual sport. the whole point, at least when I was playing, and I never played college, but when I did play in high school, one thing that they would preach is that this is a team sport. It's not about one individual person. So for the players that are wanting to win now, and I get it, I understand. You fought as far as for years and years of your life to get to the point where you're at to contend. But Jimmy, you know who Jimmy is.
Yeah, we all know
He
who
is the
Jimmy,
quarterback that is
what
not going to
Jimmy can
stay
do.
healthy. He's not
Well, I'm
gonna.
not gonna
He's
say
not gonna
that. I'm
make
not
the.
gonna say history might show that he isn't able to stay healthy, but that is also not a fact right now. We don't know what the future holds.
I
I
mean,
do
even
hope
now
that
though, I mean,
Jimmy
he's coming off of a major.
of a
He's coming off of a
not a
shoulder,
major.
surgery. Well, not a major,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
shoulder surgery, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed. The first play after they carted Trey off,
Mm.
man, he got hit. He got decked right in the chest
Yeah,
plate,
I
and
missed that
it
one, dude.
was.
I missed that play.
Yeah, it was
I
a
didn't catch
pretty
it.
like they replayed it, and I was like, that is
We
like because
got.
he got decked right on the chest plate,
Uh,
like fell on his back. His
uh,
helmet hit the knee of I think it was one of our players. I think it was
yeah,
McGlinchey. It was a pretty hard hit. He got
yeah.
decked. And look, and I'm not saying that I'm not wishing for Jimmy or anything like that for him to get injured. That is not what I'm
Mm.
saying. But what I'm saying is that history does prove that. It proves that he can't stay healthy
History
because
shows that there is a high probability that he will get injured.
yeah, and the only year that he didn't get hurt was 2019, and even last year he missed what 2 games?
Yeah,
Was it 2 games?
somewhere around there.
Oh no, he missed 1 game. I'm
Well,
sorry. I think it was a game and a half.
the Texans, yeah, the Texans and the
No, two
Seahawks,
two and a
right?
half games because it was Seattle. He left halfway, and then the Cardinals, and then it was Houston. But
Well, when was Arizona? Was that was last year, wasn't
Arizona
it?
was week 8, I believe.
Yeah, so it was
Week 8.
Arizona, Houston,
It
and the
was
Seahawks 2.5.
No, so it was Seattle midway, and then
Mm,
Arizona, then Houston. It was at the end, which
okay,
was week
yeah,
16.
so two and
But
a half.
anyways, so history
Yeah,
shows that he cannot stay healthy. That he eventually,
mm.
somewhere along the line, he's gonna get banged up. I'm not saying that that's what's gonna happen. I'm just saying that his
There's a
track
high
record
possibility.
shows that,
Yeah,
right?
I mean the
And so the
chances
thing with
are
me is,
better.
I get it, and I wouldn't even go as far. There's some people who are saying, oh, now you got to start thinking of Trey's injury prone. Man, this is one of those fluke injuries. Like it's
Mm,
like almost exactly like the one that happened.
well,
Your foot
yeah.
gets planted, it gets stuck. There's really nothing
Mm,
you can do about that. What I mean, he's getting pushed by 200-300 pound defensive
mm.
lineman in a direction that his knee does not or his ankle is not supposed to bend.
Well,
This is a freak
yeah.
injury. It's not something that look at Bosa. Both of
Mm,
you could technically say that he's injury prone. He had a
mm,
torn he tore his ACL, I believe, was in college or high school, and then he tore
mm,
his ACL in 20 was it last year? No, the year before that, so
mm,
2020. And it's like so he would be technically injury prone, but those major injuries, when your foot gets stuck a certain way,
yeah.
I mean, hey man,
Well, that could happen
that's a
anywhere,
freak
but
injury. But
I
what I would
hope that
say
the
is,
coaches
hold on.
learned. Yeah, go.
Let me finish up real quick. I'll make it
Uh,
fast.
uh,
What I'm trying to say is the players should be more optimistic, in my opinion, in towards leaning into Trey Lance because I honestly have a feeling that last year in 2021, the only reason Jimmy started was because the vets wanted him. I feel like Trey
mm,
off the bat could have done what Jimmy does, and that's actually another topic that we could probably get into. But
no, I don't know if
no, we
that's
won't
right.
do that today.
Well,
Let's do
yeah.
another topic or whatever. But like,
Well,
I feel like I feel like the team at
no.
least the vets wanted to go out, have one last ride with Jimmy, right? I feel like that's what last year was, and I think what proves that is the fact that Shanahan right after the offseason, once it started, he was in
Mm,
Miami when they gave him that coach interview, and he was saying off the bat, this is Trey's team, right? And he was
mm.
confident in saying that because he understood that the
He
abilities in
wasn't
which Trey
confident
Lance
though.
gives is the abilities that Trey Lance presents are far above what you can get from Jimmy. Jimmy, again, all respect to Jimmy. I have nothing against the guy. I have nothing but respect. He's done something that not a lot of quarterbacks can do. Um, he was with a team that went to the Super
Well,
Bowl and an NFC
what we're
Championship.
claiming is that everybody can do it, or anybody, right? But
No. I feel like he had to play a part in it. I don't think it was because of him, but he played his part, right? He
that's what I'm
came
saying.
managed
Yeah.
good enough. But I just feel like the players should be a little more open, man. And I'll leave it at that. I think they should be a little more, especially the younger guys. And I feel like they are. I mean, I heard that Danny Gray that was yelling at Garoppolo on the sideline because he missed him, and he was wide open, beat two defenders. Um, but that's where
Yeah.
I'm at with that. I'll go ahead and let you continue. Just want to cut in and kind of give my 2 cents on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You were saying that you believe that the only reason that Jimmy started last year was because you feel that the veterans pressured Shanahan into starting Jimmy. I don't believe that. I don't think that. Well, hopefully not. I would like to believe that Shanahan would not give in to players pressuring him to start a vet that he's seen what he can do and that is very limited. I would hope that Shanahan would kind of hold his own and stick to what his plan is. If he thinks if players really sway him, then that's not a head coach. That can't be your head coach because you can't. These players have a job. Yeah, they do this. It's fun. I'm sure it is fun, and they get paid a lot for it. But it's also their job, and they need to fall in line. What are you gonna do? Like, well, what manager, like, on a sinking ship or on a ship that is going nowhere, like, say, okay, so let's do this. Let's say that you're on a ship or whatever, and that the ship is going nowhere or whatever, that the propeller or the motor at the back of the ship, it runs or whatever, but it doesn't really have much horsepower behind it. But
Yeah.
the people that, the sailors, I guess the sailors want to keep that motor because it has they're personally attached to it. They got an emotional attachment to it. What kind of captain goes, okay, yes,
Good
yes,
guy.
let's go ahead and keep this motor and just go at a shorter pace. let's not
Fucking
reach
motors.
let's not reach the destination
Yeah.
that we want to reach just because you guys want to hold on to something that you hold dear. No, the objective is to win a Super Bowl. It's not to cruise around and see a few islands and stuff like that. No, I don't believe that. That's why Shanahan started Jimmy. I believe that Shanahan started Jimmy because, no, well, let me finish.
Okay.
I believe that Shanahan started Jimmy because he saw that Trey Lance was not ready. He saw that he was not ready, or maybe he didn't have enough plays. But for sure, he didn't want to get fired because he would have had, well, a major, a record of what, like, one winning season. Is that what it was? One winning season, and like, a player. I don't know. Maybe Jed York is honestly very, very buddy with Shanahan, but a good general manager would see that and say this is not it, and move on from that head coach. But Shanahan felt that he needed to win. He saw that Trey Lance was not, he was still a little green, and he might have been able to win a couple games, but nowhere near what happened last year. And but that we'll never know that. This is all speculation. But
Yeah.
my feelings are that Shanahan played Jimmy because he didn't want to get fired, and also because he felt that Trey was not ready.
But
And
see,
I think those are pretty.
the only pushback that I would give to that is, if you
Mhm,
remember, the Niners were what, 1-3 at some point
mhm,
last year, and then
mhm,
I remember them. They have asked. Don't call me on the score. I don't have my laptop. I can't look
mhm,
it up exactly, but I remember at one point the reporters asked him, at the end of the
mhm,
season, was there any point to where you would wanted to switch to Trey? And he was saying, I
mhm,
believe, was it after Detroit, or was it after some certain game
mhm.
where he's
Oh,
like,
that's
what, I
right.
was
I
trying to.
remember that.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was Chicago. It was Chicago.
Mhm.
He's like, I was like, it'd be after Chicago if they would have lost
But
that
he
game.
was
He would have made
injured,
this.
right?
Yeah, he would have made that switch. And
Mhm.
no, Trey wasn't injured then. Or I'm sorry, not Jimmy wasn't injured then. But then
But Trey
even
was Trey was injured
Trey was
with his
injured after the
thumb.
preseason. Yeah, but remember also that there he was even saying that, the
Or his
reason
finger, I
that
mean.
I don't want to say that Trey didn't start or didn't really compete was because he was injured and he had trouble gripping the ball because of that
Yeah.
thumb injury. And so
Or it
that's
was
why where
it
I'm
was
coming
his
from, where I'm
index
like,
finger
or his index.
or middle.
Um,
I don't know, one of the two. Yeah.
but one of the fingers. But that's where I'm basing my stuff off because
Yeah.
it kind of skews that way. If you kind of put two and two
Mm-hmm.
together and you kind of follow the
Mm-hmm.
trail of how Shanahan was talking, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that is the way that he wanted to go. And I don't. And I'm not saying. And when I said the first part, I'm not saying that you know, I'm not saying that Shanahan gave into pressure. I just feel like the vets might have been like, hey man, like, can we just get one more ride with Jimmy? Just one more ride, right? And that's the way they were seeing it. And I guess,
Yeah.
you know, I think what helped into that was that Trey had broken a finger and was like, okay, well, he is, Jimmy right now is a healthier quarterback. Obviously they started off not great, but then they went on a run, and so then it was hard to switch back, right? Because I feel like Shanahan was antsy to pull the trigger on Trey, but by the
Mm-hmm.
time that he was antsy to pull that trigger, the Niners were already on a roll, and
They
it
got
was kind of
hot.
hard to
Yeah.
pursue that. And
Yeah.
so that's where I'm basing my assumption from. I'm not saying this is fact. This is just where
Man,
me trying to put.
you know, what sucks, dude? It means that that Trey Lance has now lost two opportunities at
To
being
win
the
the
starting
starting job. Yeah,
QB because of injuries, dude. Because
yeah,
his finger was injured. Because and I remember what you're talking about. That Shanahan did say that he was ready to pull the trigger with Trey
with
Lance, but he was
Lance.
injured. But
Mm-hmm.
he was injured, and right now another injury. Damn it, Trey. Someone put some voodoo hex on you, Trey. It's time to get that
Don't say
sage
that,
out,
dude.
my friend. It's time to get that
No,
sage
man.
out,
Look,
man.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's just kind of one of those things, and I'm gonna root for Jimmy.
Yeah,
I have nothing
absolutely.
against the guy.
Hmm.
Like we've talked before, and we've said it here on our podcast. We are 49ers fans before any particular player. I'm gonna root for
Hmm.
my team to win. That does not mean that I don't have my preferences in players, right? I can go for both players, but I can prefer another player, right? It's like Kittle. I could prefer Kittle over Dwelly because Kittle is in my opinion, an overall better player, even though Dwelly probably has better hands, right? So
Hmm.
that's what I would say. I feel like the best thing that can happen right now is they go on a run. They go into I
Yeah.
honestly, I have my
So
doubts,
let's
man.
talk
I'm
about
gonna
that.
be
That's going to
honest
be
with
one
you.
of our topics. Let's talk
Yeah,
about that.
and
What are your expectations of Jimmy Garoppolo with the season? What are your realistic expectations of the one and only Jimmy
we're gonna get
G,
we're gonna get
the
into the nitty
Crimson
gritty now, guys.
Chin?
Okay, so before the season started, I did have the Niners making the playoffs, and I'll be honest. Now that Jimmy G is in there, and it's not because he's a bad player, I just feel he's gonna miss a game, and he's gonna miss two games at minimum. And I don't know where those games are gonna start. Where exactly it's gonna land, but I feel
If
like
they,
it's something that's very, very possible.
mm,
And I feel like it's gonna be against teams because our schedule arguably is tougher than it was in 2019. I mean, we
mhm,
got some tough teams. I know Denver wasn't looking that good, but we got Denver. We got, the Rams. Then we got Kansas. We got Kansas City in our schedule. We got the
mhm.
Bucks, right? We got teams that are, you know, pretty tough, man. And I just, I just feel like our O line is our O line, the whole center of our line.
Mhm,
They're rookies, right? They're on second year. Obviously, they're not rookies, but they're
mhm.
second year players. But first time starting. I feel like yeah, they look good against Seattle, but when you start facing those Aaron Donalds, you know it's gonna be tough, man. I feel like Jimmy's gonna miss some time, and when he does miss some time, it's
Mhm,
gonna cost us. And I feel like honestly, right now,
mhm.
best case scenario, I see the Niners making the playoffs, but getting eliminated the first round. My realistic expectation is that the Niners miss the playoffs. I think
So
that
what was your record before Jimmy was declared the starter, or I mean
I
before
think it
Trey
was like
Lance's
11 and
injury?
6. It was like
11 and
11 and
6.
6.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
mine was 9 and 8, and my expectations now are actually a little bit. I say that Jimmy. I believe that Trey. With Trey, we would have gone 9-8. I believe now that with Jimmy, uh, we are gonna most likely go 10-7, somewhere around there, and maybe get into the playoffs. And then you know what they say about the playoffs: all you need to do is get in, and then from there, it's anybody's game, really. But the expectations, and what I was gonna bring up, is a point that you made that. With Jimmy, right? The first play of the game, he got smacked, right? They hit him hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
You got that.
okay, so I think that's actually a good thing. I think that by Jimmy getting smacked that hard, and if it was a bad hit, I think it gave him confidence in saying that I took a big ass hit and I'm okay. So let's keep going. I think it probably gave Jimmy confidence in knowing that he's healed somewhat okay and that he can take big hits. Now, obviously, you don't want him to take big hits. You don't want him to get sacked all the time. He is going to get sacked, but hopefully, well, he's got that quick release. Hopefully he can get that ball out, and hopefully he learns to throw away the ball instead of throwing it down the middle. If he doesn't
The
see
middle
people open,
linebackers.
or if somebody's coming at him, get out of the pocket and just throw it somewhere, man. It's either him or the backup. It's Brock Purdy, and then today
Look,
I believe they signed. Hey, shout out to the Gold Rush podcast. We called it on this show a few days ago that you were going to see Kurt Benkert get signed to this roster, and he's in the practice squad now. So you
yeah,
heard it here first. That's where you heard it. So whether it be Kurt Benkert or Brock Purdy, if Jimmy goes down, let's say he goes down for a couple games, I believe that Brock Purdy or Kurt Benkert could probably win one of those and lose the other one. They would go 1-1, just because you could hand it off. Well, I guess it depends what team you're playing, but you could most likely hand it off and make short throws. I believe Brock Purdy at least showed a pretty good presence in the pocket. He did stay calm, and when there were players coming at him. So I believe they could go 1-1. My prediction now is 10-7. That's my expectations of Jimmy. And I was actually watching another channel, and I believe it was on Rob Shu's channel. Shout out to the left shoe, to Rob Shoe. He's a very positive guy, and he brought up a good point. He brought up the point
Mhm.
that they drafted Danny Gray, and he was what do you know what round they drafted him? He wasn't a late round pick,
Danny
right?
Gray was around. You know what? I actually, off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to tell you, man. I don't remember.
Okay, but I know that it wasn't like a bottom pick or anything like that. It was a significant pick in order, and so when you make those picks, you wanna have them produce, right? Danny Gray is a runner. He's a speed guy, so they might dial up. I don't know if Hopefully Jimmy can hit him, but at least he did try to hit him, but obviously he didn't. But they're probably gonna dial up more. Maybe not super long passes, but maybe maybe like 30 or 40, not well, 30 yard passes to
Look,
Danny Gray, something like that.
well, we could talk about that stuff.
Mhm.
We'll talk about the game.
Mm.
So on another show.
No, well, this is
Um,
just expectations of Jimmy. I expect him to
I don't think he's gonna
throw
go
deep
deep. I
every
don't think
now
he's
and
gonna
then.
go deep. I don't think Jimmy has the accuracy nor the arm to go deep to hit Danny Gray. I
Well, he
think
better
if he
practice.
does if he does hit Danny Gray, it's gonna be more of a scheme thing.
Mhm.
I would love to, Jimmy, calling you out. I don't think you can do it, but prove me wrong. Um, what do I know? I'm just a guy. I'm just a kid. I'm just a guy that's on YouTube. But look,
This
I
is the
I
Gold
I,
Rush
I don't
podcast. This
think
is
I don't
just
think
any podcast.
I don't think Jimmy getting hit. I know what you meant by it, as in like he could take a hit,
Uh,
but realistically, I can't get behind that just because I know his history. And
yeah. Well, I don't blame you for it
I
either.
would say
Yeah.
that is not a good sign, because if he's getting hit
Mhm.
like that, it's a matter of time, right?
Mhm.
It's not a if, it's a when. If he's getting hit how he got hit, I'll
Well,
try to find the clip on when he got decked, and I'll put it up on Twitter. So you go ahead and
mhm.
go, guys. If you guys want to see that, go ahead and follow
Yeah,
us. But let's continue with our, this program because my phone's about to die. So if I go disappear, you're
Oh
gonna have to carry
shoot.
it on so I can get back on. But
Okay.
so let's talk about Trey. Uh, so news came out today. A doctor reported that it is possible for Trey to come back within 10 to 12 weeks.
Mhm.
That is before, so that would be if it's 12 weeks, that would be week 15, right? Because the
Mhm.
Niners have a bye or 14, or
Mhm.
whatever, however it turns out. Do you think if Trey was able to come back fully healed and rehabbed,
Mhm. Mhm.
that he would be able to start? That they would replace him with Jimmy with Trey? Do you think that,
No.
do you think that the team would allow that?
It's not
As
that
in
the
the
team would
players.
allow that. I think the fan base would be more. I already know what they're gonna say. They're gonna say you rushed him in there, just like they were saying about RG3 that, or like we brought up as well on Sunday that Shanahan rushed RG3 into the game again before being fully healed and then got him injured again. I do not expect, and I don't believe that Trey Lance will start anytime this season. I think for one, he'll be he'll be fresh off of rehab, and for two, or the second one, he hasn't practiced. If he was rusty before, he's gonna be way more rusty now. So like, don't rush it in. Let him rest, and then hopefully next season he could make a run for it. He could make a case for himself as to why he should be the starter. I don't know. Well, before we get into the next topic, what are your feelings about it? Do you think that they would actually, if he does come back in 10 to 12 weeks, if he does heal, do you think that they would actually put him in there?
I think, in my opinion, it just depends. There's a lot of variables that come into this.
Hmm.
If the team has a losing record, yeah, put him in there. He needs the reps. He needs to get in there
Yeah.
and get as many reps as he can because you need to figure the number one thing for the Niners right now is they need to figure out who Trey is as a player. You know who he is as a person,
Hmm.
but as a player out on the football field, you need to throw him in there to get those reps. Now, if the Niners are winning, then you might want to think about it because then at that point the group kind of the team, they have that tight knit. You don't want to interrupt that; it can cost you. I think then at that point just let Trey do his thing and just have him as I would say have him as your second string. And if Jimmy gets hurt or is that an emergency kind of thing, Jimmy gets hurt,
Hmm.
then you put Trey in there. Um, I think that those are the only two scenarios. Now, if the Niners are winning in spite of Jimmy, how they tend to do, where Jimmy is kind of making rookie mistakes, as I've been tweeting to all you Niners, to all you Jimmy stands, when he starts to make rookie mistakes, and he will, he is a vet that plays like a rookie. When he starts to make those mistakes, but the defense, because I think our defense is elite. It's elite. I mean, our DBs. I mean that Womack is showing out. Hufunga is showing out. When we're gonna get
Funga's a
Ward and
favorite,
Barrett
yeah.
back, it's gonna. I think this defense has the ability to possibly be better than the 2019 defense. And if we're winning games in spite of Jimmy, but Jimmy is putting the game on the line too much to where he could cost us, you throw Trey in there. You throw Trey in there. Don't and obviously if you I believe in Shanahan. I think if he throws Trey in there, he is not going to run him the way he was running him. I think that he
Mhm.
will scheme things more open for him to where he gets to throw though he gets to throw the ball more often than he does running or at least handing off the ball. I think I'm not saying don't run trade. Don't you guys come after me saying that I'm saying don't run trade. I want trade to run, but
We
as a
know that
last
that's one of
resort
his
thing.
weapons, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not one of those things that you specifically got him to use them for that reason. So do I think if the Niners are winning and everybody's a tight knit group and it's kind of they're working together? No, don't put Trey in. Let them rehab. Let them just stay as just it's as an emergency. Break glass kind of a thing. But if they're losing, they have a losing record, throw Trey in there. And
Mhm.
if the Niners are winning in spite of Jimmy, you throw him in there. because you got to remember Jimmy is not going to be here next year. I don't care what happens this year. He will not be here next year because two things can be true. And this is in my opinion. Actually, this is not on one of our topics, but I want your opinion on this. Two things can be true in my opinion. He can be really good and still not get re-signed. And if he's really good and they re-sign him, the Niners in a way are admitting fault that they chose wrong in picking Trey. Because that would be in a way scrapping the Trey Lance project. Because if you have to, you got to if Jimmy has a successful year, he's gonna want to get paid. He's not gonna want to come back on a 1-year thing. Other teams will probably offer him better money than the Niners will, and if the Niners take him, that's admitting that the Niners and Kyle Shanahan and Lynch were wrong in giving up those 3 draft picks and getting Trey, and I think that comes with consequences.
Okay, so in what scenario do you think that Jimmy can actually be re-signed? Is it he wins the Super Bowl? Is he goes deep into
I don't think he gets re-signed at all. I don't think he gets re-signed at all. I don't think
the only if he wins the Super Bowl, there's no doubt he gets re-signed. So there is. I think he does. Yeah.
I don't think.
I
don't think so.
There's different. I guess there's different opinions here, but we were going to talk about the future.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. So why don't you think that if Jimmy wins the Super Bowl, hypothetically wins the Super Bowl because of Jimmy, or if Jimmy actually just leads them there, even if he just leads them there, and they win a Super Bowl, you don't think they'll re-sign him?
No, I don't think they will because okay. The only scenario that I can see Jimmy coming back is if the Niners win because of him and he gets them there and wins it. If he does what he tends to do, which is very mediocre at best in the playoffs, because he has his statistics wise in the playoffs. Remember, against Minnesota, he threw 8 times, right? Against Green Bay, he did absolutely nothing. That was a fluke. Guys, he did not beat Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers beat himself. Let's be clear, right? Because remember, against Aaron Rodgers, when they were playing in Lambeau, he kept trying to go to Adams and just kept trying to go to Adams deep. He didn't want to go on the underneath routes. Aaron Rodgers beat himself. That team beat themselves. Their special teams beat themselves. That is the only reason the Niners went to the NFC Championship. If it was not for that reason, the Niners would have lost that game. And I think everybody knows it's true. Might not want to, Jimmy stands might not want to admit that, but it's true. It's facts. Go look at the game. So for me to believe that Jimmy, first of all, will go into the playoffs and have a winning record and go up against Brady, go up against Stafford, go up against, those other top, even Hurts. Hurts was looking good Monday night. I don't think he could go toe-to-toe with them. And if he does and it goes to the Super Bowl and we win it, then yeah, I could see you keep him, you resign him. At that point, you won because of him. He is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You keep him, right?
Okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
But the odds of that happening are almost slim to none.
Yeah, they are very slim.
I don't think so. And because every other scenario that I can think of, the Niners, get to the playoffs, and if they get to the NFC Championship, it's more than likely going to be because of our defense because it's so stacked.
Okay. Most likely. I mean, our defense is excellent. They are top tier, top shelf defense. Do I see a scenario in where they would re-sign Jimmy? Well, they tried to get rid of him, right? They did try to get rid of him, but he went and got surgery, and they said that there was actually a trade in the process, but because of the surgery, they backed out of it. So he kind of did this to himself in a way, if those reports are true. But do I think that they would resign him? I think if he wins the Super Bowl, and I think that's the only scenario, even if it's not because of him, I think that they would resign him. I think that they would say that, okay, so we got this veteran QB that we know what we can do. Let's go ahead and keep him for another year, and we don't know, or they probably, what we've seen so far of how they played Trey is that they don't trust him, and coming off of an injury, they're probably going to want him to. Well, I don't know. They probably will want him to be a backup. There is a future in where Jimmy Garoppolo is a starter next season, and Trey is his backup. I believe there
Okay.
is that future. There is that possibility, and maybe in some parallel universe, that's actually what's happening. But we live in this world, and those possibilities are very, they're not very likely. It's a slim chance. It's very hard to win the Super Bowl, especially with how the Chiefs and the Bills are playing right now. So, I don't know. And
Let me
Jalen
let me
Hurts, like
ask
you
you
said.
this. Let me ask you this question real quick.
Mm,
You got to remember. So there's two things that are also playing. That's why this is also what plays into. I just even if he wins the Super Bowl because of him, you don't
mm,
resign him. You got to remember we got to resign Bosa. You got to resign Ward.
mm.
Bosa is going to demand a ton. And you think Jimmy, if he wins the Super Bowl, is going to want to come back here on a team friendly deal? I don't think so.
He's not
He's
gonna
going to
want to
want to
come back
get.
on a team friendly. No.
He's gonna want to come back at what the going rate would be. I don't want to say he's gonna
And
get Mahomes money, but it's gonna be in the 30 million a year.
yeah, he'll
Because
probably want like a 3-year
if he's a
contract or
winning
something.
Super Bowl winning quarterback, he's gonna demand that type of money,
Mm,
right? And so I just don't think the Niners can afford him. I don't think they could do it with the people that they already have to sign. It's
mm.
just the numbers don't work out.
Well,
Um,
I mean, you could always trade some players here, and then some
but
players that.
would you really trade key players? Because you would have to essentially trade key players that are
Hmm.
taking up the bulk of your cap space. Would you really
Hmm.
want to do that for Jimmy, knowing who
I
Jimmy
don't know.
is?
Would I want to? No, but do I think the Niners would? I
I
I, I
think
think that they would. Yeah.
I think there might be crazy enough, but I don't know. I don't see it. I again, like I said, me and my brother, we root for the Niners. We're gonna root for them every Sunday.
Mhm.
We'll back Jimmy, but I am reassessing my expectations. And
Mhm.
eventually he will get hurt. Eventually, I don't want to say he will. He can get hurt.
Don't put that bad juju out there, man. Don't put it
Hey
out there.
man,
Let's hope he doesn't.
Purdy. I think Purdy's more accurate than Jimmy. He looked kind of
Well,
sharp in
yeah.
those couple of snaps,
That's what I was
but
saying. If Purdy had to start, he'd probably win one of the games if he had to start for two of them. I don't think
it
he's
depends who it is. I think
well,
it
we
depends who
also
it
said
is.
that too, yeah. But anyways, we were saying that expectations of Jimmy mine. I expect one more game than my prediction with Trey. I said 9-8. I think he's going to go 10-7. I think that's my expectations of Jimmy. I do expect him to actually, and I don't wish this upon him. But like we said, history kind of shows us he is going to miss 1 or 2 games, and hopefully it's not more than that, or else well, we don't know, or else
Yeah, I
maybe
think
maybe Mr. Irrelevant is it's just some kind of Superman or something,
I think
but
we're switching spots. I'm going from 11-6 to 9-7
uh,
or 9-8, 9-8.
9-8. I went from 9-8 to 10-7.
Yeah, we switched spots,
Okay,
man. I don't think they're gonna
yeah.
make the playoffs. I think he's not gonna. I don't know. Prove me wrong, Jimmy. I love it. Prove me wrong.
Mm.
What's one of our next topics? I only got these
I
two.
think
Is
that
it?
was it, man. We got expectations of Jimmy. We got Trey's comeback. If he heals up, do we want him to?
Oh,
Do you
but
expect him to
we
play?
didn't get.
I said no. You said if they're losing, yes. And
We
then we
forgot
also
one.
said okay.
We forgot one. What do you think Trey's future with this franchise is?
Well, I just said it at the end. I think if Jimmy runs deep into the playoffs again, I think that Shanahan and Lynch will probably, and I hope this doesn't happen because I want to see Trey. But what I kind of picture in my gut feeling is that they're gonna have Trey as the backup. If Jimmy makes a deep run into the playoffs, or if he wins the Super Bowl, and only if those scenarios happen, if he makes a deep run into the playoffs and or makes the Super Bowl and stays healthy, I guess you would say, that Trey would have to compete for his job. And where he's at right now, I don't think he would beat Jimmy out for the QB1 spot
I think I think Trey's future next year
because he hasn't
is
developed.
he's gonna start. He's gonna have this position. I don't think Jimmy's gonna be on this team. I think
Mm-hmm.
this is the last run with Jimmy that we're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
because again, for the reasons that I gave. I just don't think he is that type of quarterback to be able to take a team over the hump.
I
And
mean,
I
I'm
think
with you
just
there.
skill set wise and potential, and because you know how Shanahan and Lynch are, they don't give up on the guys that they draft. I think that they're gonna stick with Trey. They're gonna stick with the
Well,
ups and the
they
downs that
just
they
kicked
give.
Trey
They,
Sermon.
you know, well, yeah, but how long did that take? 3 years on 30 years when they tried to trade him away,
No, it was like
or
it was
two
two.
years,
It was
2 years,
yeah.
two
It
years.
was he
Yeah, because he
drafted
got
last.
drafted with Trey.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't think so. And plus, they still don't know what the. I feel like if they scrap the Trey Lance project,
Mm-hmm.
someone's getting fired, and I think that someone will probably
Oh,
be
yeah.
Lynch
Most
because
likely, yeah.
to give up 3 draft picks and a third to scrap a project
Well,
that you're just gonna be like, oops. I think
to
that
be
comes with some
completely
stuff.
honest, man, I don't think Lynch is going to be here next year. I really don't. I think he's going to
Really?
take a broadcasting job. Yeah,
You think so? You think he's gonna
I
take
think
it?
so,
Because
man.
didn't he
I
get
think he's had it, dude. I think he's had it with all this shit. I think he wants to make some money
Niners?
and just talk, what he's good at, and because obviously right now the guy is just getting trashed because he didn't do a very good job,
I don't think I don't think so, man. I don't see it. I don't even see. Like I said, I don't see it with Jimmy, man. I don't.
Mm,
You already made it very clear that this kid is not. If he's the reason I also say that they wouldn't keep him. He's already taken you
mm,
to a Super Bowl, technically, right? Because he's a starting
mm,
quarterback. He's taking you to an NFC Championships 2 out of 3 years, and you still wanted to move off of him. What is it going to be different
mm,
if you go to the playoffs again anyway, but don't make it over the hump? This is the thing, and this is the thing that Niner fans don't understand. And I feel like a lot of Niner fans are skewed or are mixed up on. It's not about winning games. It's about winning championships. It's about putting up banners, just like the Rams did, at the opening season. That's what it's about. It is not about winning games. It's about developing the quarterback that you think that you betted your future on.
mm,
You betted your future. You mortgaged the future of this team, and because next year's first round pick is gonna be rehabbing. That's Lance. It's about getting the guy that's gonna get you over the hump. I do not think that that's Jimmy. And if he goes into
yeah.
the playoffs and it becomes a shootout, last year when we played in the NFC Championship against the Rams, what did the Rams say at the end of that game? Is that they wanted to take the ball away from Debo and they wanted to
Mm,
put it into Jimmy's arm. Because that is the way to beat the Niners, is to stop their run game and put it in Jimmy's arms because he's going to make mistakes.
mm.
Because that is the player that he is. He makes great plays and he makes really bad, dumb plays. And that's what they betted on. And that's why, to me, even if he makes you to the NFC Championship, if he doesn't win it, I don't think there's a scenario he comes back. Because then
Well, let me tell you this. I
then
hope
that's
you're right,
three
dude,
times.
because I've like you said, we've already seen kind of what Jimmy could do. We've already seen his limitations. I think other teams already have a script on him, and but this is a whole new year, and all any of these videos are just hypotheticals. They're all
Speculation.
just speculation as to what we think can happen, and then I don't think right now either one of us is wrong because history that hasn't happened yet. But
And
do I?
did you see Rob Shoe's live today?
What did he say? Well, I think I was watching part of it, and then I said,
It was funny.
I'm gonna
It's
watch
like
something else.
we're he was like he was like we're all chokers until we're not. Sorry,
We're
that
all
was so
chokers
funny.
until we're not. What does
Because
that
they were
even
saying
mean?
that there's a comment that came in on his live that was saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, Shanahan is a choker, right? Because he
Uh,
can't hold the lead." And he's like, "We're all
yeah.
chokers until we're not." Sorry,
Uh,
and that applies to
well, he
this,
got that
man.
from
Hey,
Croc. Croc was
Jimmy,
saying,
you're a
well,
choker until you're not.
yeah.
But look, if you were
Well,
saying, sorry,
come
I don't
on.
want to cut you off.
No, I was just saying that right now, yeah, we don't know what the future holds. You think that you believe that Jimmy in no scenario will get re-signed. I believe that if he wins the Super Bowl or if even if he takes the Niners into a deep playoff run, there is a possibility of him getting signed and of there being a real quarterback competition next year. I think they would actually bring him in because you can't trade him. Well, this is assuming that Jimmy
Can't
would
keep
want to
him.
come back too. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
you
assuming
can't keep
that
him or
Jimmy would want to
franchise
come
tag him.
back. But let's stay positive. I think this next game is going to be a good one, and it's going to give us more of a gauge of this. Obviously, we know this. Well, actually, we don't know. We played the Chicago Bears, and the Seattle Seahawks. I wouldn't say that they are elite teams to kind of gauge your defense with. So let's see how they do against a stout running team with Denver. Let's see if they could stop the run, and we could analyze that a little bit more. More is going to come in future podcasts. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you could see whenever we post new stuff. I'm gonna be posting this on my Twitter page. It's just Rick Munoz, like you see it right there, but with no space. Rick Munoz, and then my brother. He's got Gold Rush
The Daily
podcast. I
Gold Rush.
think
This is the Daily Gold
the
Rush
Gold Rush
podcast.
podcast. I think Gold Rush
Link
is
will
one
be in the
word.
description, guys. Link will be in the
Yeah.
description at the end of this video.
So check it out, guys. I know today's topics were a little bleak, but the next videos we're going to be talking about, expect what our predictions are for this next game or what we see happening, right? Something like that, and it should be fun. And we're going to keep it original too. I know we named some podcasts on these channels, but in no way, shape, or form or my thoughts, and I don't believe my brother's thoughts. I don't believe they're shaped by what they say on those channels. I mostly watch them at least just to get updates on what's happening in the Niners, not to feel angry or somebody to tell me how to feel. I hope that you guys don't see us and say, yeah, he's right. I'm gonna feel just like he does. Now feel the way that you want to feel, because that
Use
is how
your
you feel.
logic,
Be
guys.
true to
Use your
yourself.
logic. Everybody has their mentality. Everybody's different in
Mhm.
every way. I see a lot of Grant. I see a lot of Jesse. I see a lot of Rob. I see a lot of
Yeah.
Jackhammer. I get my information from a lot of sources so that I can see where it is that I can agree and disagree, right? And
Mhm.
that's kind of, I feel like, where me and my brother are. We both
Yeah.
um kind of gather
He's my
information, and
brother.
then
I
what we
disagree
make
with
out
him
of it is what we
sometimes.
spew on here. Um, I will finish off with this, guys, and then we'll go ahead and get off. This is a new season, guys. It's barely week 3, guys. I am a Niner fan before any particular player. I've said this multiple times. We're gonna, as long as Jimmy stays healthy, this season will be a very interesting season. I know it sucks that Trey Lance got hurt, and the scenario that he has to go through right now. Prayers up for him. Um, it's a new season, guys. Anything can happen. Stay tuned. Just keep watching the Niners. I know there's a lot of division right now in this fan base, but at the end of the day, I think we got to get behind the team that we have, whether whoever
Mhm.
is that starting quarterback, and push for them to succeed. I'll never sit here and say, "Hey, my teams just suck," right, for a particular player, Be- because it's not what I do. Right? I'm a Niner fan. Jimmy, I've had a lot of great moments with him. I have nothing against the guy. Let's beat the crap out of the Broncos, because we already defeated Seattle, which had been a pain in a thorn in our side for a very long time. Now we got to go after Russ. We
All
got to
right,
go
man. You
get
know
him.
what they say? We're playing at Mile High Stadium. We're gonna join that Mile High Club because we're gonna beat the out of the freaking Broncos. Mile High
There
Club
you
over
go.
here, guys.
There
That's
you
what I'm
go.
saying, guys.
There you
Anyways,
go. All
take
right,
us out,
guys.
brother.
Uh, my name's Abraham. That's my brother Rick. This is the Daily Gold Rush. Like and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's beat them Broncos, guys. We'll see you guys again. We'll go live once more, probably sometime this week. We'll talk strictly on the game. We're not going to be bringing up this Trey Lance stuff. We're going to just strictly on how the Niners what they can do to beat the Broncos. We're just going to stay on that topic. Again, guys, like and subscribe. I'm going to put the description to our social medias on the link below on the description box. Make sure you follow my brother, follow this podcast and all our social medias. All right, guys, we're out of here. You guys have a good night. All right, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
Peace.